Did you ever wonder why some people are one-track minded? This is Jewish Life 101. Welcome to Jewish Life 101, the podcast where we tackle any topic from a Jewish perspective, from the way that a Jew would look at it. Today's episode is about being biased. When someone has to come up with something, a lot of times their own opinions will sometimes, or their own way of thinking will sometimes be, or almost always be mixed in to their conclusion. Today we're going to give Judaism's approach to not thinking biased, rather trying to reach the actual outcome, the real way that something is. Before we start, I'd like to remind everyone that you don't need any background information in order to listen to this podcast. Anything that we state that may not be clear, we will either mention that we have spoken about it or that we will speak about it. Let's get started. We explained a couple episodes actually in Waking Up Part 4, I think. We explained that God wants us to actually understand things ourselves. We shouldn't just do things because why not? And we shouldn't even when it comes to religious things where technically speaking we're doing them because God said so. God wants us to do them from our own will because we want to, because we understand it. When it comes to certain things though, let's say the Torah, Judaism says that we should do this, not necessarily will you resonate with that, will you agree with that? So the question is, if we're supposed to understand it, how are we supposed to understand it specifically the way that Judaism says it? How are you supposed to understand things in general, specifically how the outcome is instead of how I want it to be or according to my biases? In order to explain what it means that someone's bias, that the conclusion comes to what they want it to be, we have to explain that logic itself, the point of logic is to understand something how it is, the way that it's supposed to be to reach the proper conclusion. Therefore, mixing in my own opinion takes it away from the proper conclusion. Logic does not mean what I want to think or what I want to feel. It means understanding it how it is. What causes him to mix in his own opinions, to use his logic, but improperly? The answer is the reason why he's using his logic. If someone were to be using logic for the reason that they should be using logic, which is to reach the conclusion, for the purpose of logic, which is to reach the conclusion, the proper conclusion, then he would take away all personal interests. Because my personal interest, even my personal opinions in general, are not necessarily how this thing is or its absolute truth. Either my opinions are wrong, they don't apply here, and my feelings or my emotions or what I want the outcome to be might not be the outcome. So therefore, the only way to really get logic the way it is by doing logic for logic. If I'm doing logic for me, I'm not taking my process of understanding to try to reach the truth, but I'm using my process of understanding to take the truth and put it how I want. That's not what logic's for. That is using logic for me. When it comes to understanding things logically in Judaism, it explains that you have to do it not because you want to understand, but because God wants you to understand. What does this accomplish? If the entire point is for me to understand at the end of the day, I'm using my logic, I'm the one reaching the conclusion, why shouldn't I be doing it because I want to understand? Why should the ultimate reason of me understanding be because God wants me to understand? What difference does it make? And the answer lies in what we were explaining. If I was doing it because I want to understand, my biases, my conclusion will be reached. If I'm lazy in this context, I will not reach the proper conclusion of it's the right thing to do, necessarily. I may try to convince myself or end up reaching the conclusion of that's the wrong thing to do. Not so if I'm doing it for God, meaning I'm understanding, not for me, but for something that actually wants me to reach the true outcome, the actual logic behind it. I will have to take away my biases in order to reach that conclusion. I won't be thinking because I want, I'll think because he wants. I'm thinking for him. Therefore, I won't try to come to a certain conclusion. I will try to figure out what's the actual conclusion. This is why, and I think stating this will help us understand this a little bit better. In Judaism, there's a statement, in the Torah, there's a verse that says that bribes kind of blur the logic and the outcome of wise people and of righteous people. The first question we can ask on this is that, number one, righteous people, why are they taking bribes? And they're probably not taking bribes. So that must not be what it means. And smart people, why are they reaching the wrong conclusion? They are smart people. The answer is that bribes here don't actually mean necessarily taking money in order to judge how that person wants. It's the concept of taking a bribe. When I take a bribe, I stop looking at it as I'm trying to reach the right conclusion. I'm trying to get the justified outcome, how it should be. Rather, I'm taking in my own motives into account. I'm taking in the fact that I want money out of this. I want to benefit. So it stops being about it starts being about me. Therefore, my biases become involved. What I'm lean to naturally, what I'm scared of, and what I like becomes involved. And instead of trying to reach the truth, I'm trying to reach my preferable outcome. So basically, we said that at least when it comes to religious things, the proper way to reach the truthful understanding is by realizing you're not doing it because you want to. Rather, you're doing it to reach the truth because God wants you to reach the truth. Another step is that when we do something for someone else, or we're doing something because someone else asks us to, it's called in Hebrew a shliach. They're almost representative. We're the representative in this case. A representative has the concept that they are in the place of the original person. In Jewish law, it explains that not only are you in the place, meaning that you're a representative, how we would understand it, but you're an actual representative, meaning that you're actually in his place, but it says it as a word. In Judaism, we explain that it's not only that you're in his place figuratively, you're in his place literally. Therefore, you're meant to represent it as he would represent it. Taking this, that in this case, when we try to understand logically for religion, for Judaism, we said we're doing it because God wants us to. Since we're representing God, we're doing something for God in this context, we should be doing it as God would do it. Now God, as we explained in our first series about Torah, God is an ultimate truth. He has the aspect of truth. Therefore, if God were to theoretically think about this, then it would be reaching the ultimate truth behind this. Therefore, when we're thinking of it and we're trying to represent God, and we're trying to do it exactly as God would, as a representative, we should also be reaching the actual truth. We should not be putting any biases in. When our objective, therefore, as a representative, is to reach the ultimate truth, and we will automatically not put any biases in, as long as we properly understand what our goal is here. In general, in Judaism we explain, and that's a very much large part of this podcast in general, in Judaism we explain that in every single aspect of life, the way we approach it, the way we look at it, is from a Jewish perspective. So really, how do I get rid of biases in any case? It's by remembering that what I'm trying to do here is accomplishing what Judaism wants. What I'm doing here is I'm representing God in this world. I'm representing godliness, and I'm doing what God wants me to in this world. What does God want me to do? To draw down godliness into the world. So part of that is by using my logic. Part of that is by using my own abilities, by having it in me. But because we're doing everything we understand as a representative from God, we will have this concept by every single thing. Not only by religion, but when I'm trying to understand how to do business, why am I doing business right now? Because God wants me to live. Because God wants me to earn money. Because God wants me to be able to affect my surroundings in this scenario. Therefore, when I'm using my logic, I'm using my abilities, I'm using it as a representative of God to affect something here. Therefore, in this case also, I'm not doing it because I want, I'm doing it because God wants. And therefore, I have to do it like God would, which is truthfully, which is reaching the truthful outcome, how it actually is. So, to answer our question, how can you think without being biased? The answer is, you got to remember that it's not you. You're not trying to fulfill what you want. You're trying to actually use logic. You're trying to reach the right outcome. You're not trying to reach your outcome. The way that we say that we can do this best in Judaism is by remembering that we're not doing this for us in the first place. We're doing it for God. And not only that we're not doing it for ourselves and we won't put in our own biases, but God is the concept and has the concept of truth. So when we're doing it for God, we're using his quote-unquote biases. Obviously not an actual bias, but his quote-unquote biases, so to speak, which is the truth, which is to reach the actual outcome. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thanks for joining us on Jewish Life 101, and I wish you an amazing, wonderful rest of your day. If you enjoyed today's episode, feel free to share with a friend. Here at Jewish Life 101, we spend many hours on every single episode, and it's all with your support. Just click the link in the description to find out more, and we'll see you next time on Jewish Life 101.